Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Fummins Build. So we bought this Dodge Ram 2500 from auction so that we could pull the Cummins and everything we needed out of it. In part 1, we got the wiring harness out of this truck and sent them both off to DCS, Diesel Conversion Specialist, which is the company that we got our swap kit from. So we're gonna be taking that common rail engine and putting in this 09 F350. So this has the 6.4 engine. I bought it already blown up. So we're gonna be swapping the Cummins into this. It's a pretty neat truck, fully loaded, all the options, etc. The goal is to basically build the ultimate tow rig. We'll have a nice, reliable, fuel efficient, easy to work on Cummins engine in a nice Ford chassis with a good Ford transmission and all the bells and whistles that you want when you're towing cross country. In part 2, we pulled the common rail Cummins out of this truck, which we have here. So the motor is out, it is ready for a refresh and upgrade. We're gonna be refreshing it, new seals and things that need to be replaced, like redoing the injectors and whatnot, but we're also gonna be upgrading it, head gasket, head studs, maybe second gen manifold, bigger turbo, etc. Not 100% sure yet what all we're gonna do, but it is gonna be getting at a bare minimum a refresh and a slight upgrade. So with all that done, what we need to do today is figure out exactly what we wanna keep off this truck, start pulling all the parts out that are worthwhile, worth selling, so we can recoup some of our money that we invested buying this truck, and then kind of push it off out of the way. I want to hang on to it for a little bit before I try to sell it or scrap it or whatever I end up doing with it, just in case I need a fitting or a line or a wire or hose or something off this truck. It's nice to have it sitting around so you can scavenge parts off it to make something work if you don't have what you need. But the goal is to get it out of the way, get the Ford over here and start tearing into it. So first thing we got to do, obviously, is start tearing into this thing. So the one thing that I know for sure is going to be worth decent money is the trans. So this is a Reman trans. It's got the Reman sticker on it. You can see it's got a newer converter and stuff. So this will be worth some decent money. The transfer case will be worth some decent money because it's a manual transfer case, four-wheel drive truck. I think the bed might be worth, $500-600 based on looking. It seems like a really, really nice bed. Goes for $1,000-1,300. So we're just gonna try to get the big ticket items off and then figure out what to do with the rest. First order of business is gonna be getting the trans out. That's gonna be probably the least fun part because it is very muddy under there. This truck has seen a lot of Georgia clay. So I pressure washed it off yesterday, pressure washed under it. So hopefully it'll be a little cleaner, but either way, we're gonna get a little messy. Oh yeah, that should be much better. So you can see under here what I'm talking about. This is after we pressure washed a lot of this stuff off, but you can just see how much is just caked on. So it's one of those things where every time you touch something, you just get doused in dried mud, sand, clay, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, we need to come up with a game plan to get this thing out. Transfer case will probably be a little tricky to squeeze past everything, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Let's get to work. Marginally better than expected. All right, we'll let that finish drip draining, put the plate back on, and then start pulling the trans out. All right, so now we need to undo this transfer case shifter linkage. You can see someone's just safety wired this thing on because it looks like the bushings wore out or something. Freaking ingenuity right there. Shifter cable. All right, I just cut the shifter cable because somebody rounded off the bolts on one of the bracket bolts, so yeah, didn't want to fight with that. Dipstick tube out. I think the little ripper's got it. Nope. All right, we got the little ripper's big brother. Oh yeah, didn't even have to try. Get a shorter extension for this. Sweet. Jesus, this thing's in there. Sorry, I got you guys a little dusty. It's like an interactive experience. It's like you're here. Oh, there we go. It's a beefy drive shaft. Tell you what. All right, now I got to do the front one here. which is at least shorter and wider, but these bolts are gonna be a little tricky to get to because we can't get maybe we can get an impact on them. Find out. Okay, got the front drive shaft off. This one was pretty stubborn, required a lot of hammering, but we got it to break free, knock off. I think that's it. I think we got everything unhooked, so now I just gotta figure out how I wanna drop it out of here. That's gonna be the tricky part. If we just had the trans, it wouldn't be that bad, but with the trans and the transfer case, it's a lot of weight and a very long unit, so we're gonna have to devise a plan here. All right, so I have a game plan. All right, so my plan is I'm gonna loop this chain around the trans as far back as I can get it, hook up to that with the hoist to pull tension, basically hold the trans, drop the cross member, drop the trans down onto dollies, roll it out. We'll probably have to use the engine hoist to lift up the front of the truck to get it out. Maybe not. I think we might have enough room on the side. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm gonna try to do. All right, we got the chain around the trans, engine hoist attached to that. So I'm gonna go into there, put a jack under the cross member, try to lower the cross member down to get some tension on this, and then go from there. All right, moment of truth. There we go. All right, it's hanging by the hoist. Success. Alrighty, transmission is out, man. That was, I mean, it really was like not as bad as I thought it would be. It was a little bit of a struggle, just because I left the cross member on. I really should have taken it out before I put the rollers under there, because it was just a mess. It got caught between them, and then it was dragging on the ground and catching everything. But other than that, I ended up getting that off, repositioning it on just this dolly so it'll be easier to roll around. But other than that, really not bad at all. Not bad at all. And that's kind of, pulling this out is really the last thing we need to do to this thing, like on the concrete pad. Pretty much anything else, with the exception of maybe the bed, that I plan to potentially pull off of this truck, I can do it when it's in the grass or wherever I end up parking it to get it out of my way. So basically my plan is to pressure wash this thing, get it cleaned up, take some pictures of it, figure out if there's anything left on this truck that any of my friends might need, pull that stuff off, and then we can push this thing into the weeds and start digging into the Ford. Let's get to it. Look at that. Freaking, oh, so close. I have to push it back a little more so I can get to my trailer. That wasn't too bad. Truck is out in the weeds, out of the way. Okay, one thing that I forgot about is this truck, being a newer truck that it is, has to have battery power connection for it to go into neutral. So I'm hoping if I just hook this side up, I can get it into neutral. If not, I'm gonna have to figure out some way to manually switch it. I really should have put it in neutral before I pulled the engine harness out. I just didn't think about it until I was done. So one of them things. Wish me luck. We've got an underhood light, so that's promising. Oh, we got it. Okay, so revert, park, reverse, neutral. Sweet, okay. Crisis averted. I was a little worried. For those of you who haven't seen the interior of this truck, it's pretty nice. Every time I sit in it, it gets me like way more motivated to get it done. All right, cool. I'll go get Ben and we'll drag this thing around back. All right, so we're gonna have to drag it backwards so that we can get it in the right way that I want it, but we need to pull it forwards because there's no way we're making this loop with the Sphero there and the well and stuff. So yeah, anyway, my plan is to try to pull forward and then drag it backwards all the way back. Don't know how well this is gonna go, but we're gonna give it a shot. Good job, team. Well, that was a little bit of a struggle, but the Ford is in place. It is ready to be torn down. I am so excited. It's so nice to see this truck here, you know, because this is the truck we're building. So we're still in the disassembly phase. I'm not going to get too excited. But, you know, it just feels nice to be moving on to the Ford, the truck that we're going to build, not tearing apart a parts truck just to get the parts that we need. So I'm not really, I know a lot of people pull the cabs off these. The guys at DCS said that they don't ever pull the cabs off, just because they like having the firewall and everything there so they can get everything in the right position and check clearances and stuff. So I think that's what I'm gonna try to do. My plan is to strip it down out here on the pad, just so it's out of the way and fluids get everywhere. It's out here, not inside and all that. And then once it's disassembled and once the Cummins is ready and we're gonna put it in, push it in the shop and put it together in the shop. Pulling this motor is probably gonna be a little trickier. It's obviously a lot bigger, but I think since we're coming out the front with it and we can take the whole front off, I don't think it'll be that bad. So anyway, let's dive in. First order of business, pull the core support, whole front off. We gotta be more careful with this truck too, because we need to put it back together. The other truck, we could just cut stuff and not care. This one we have to care. got it. Man, that's satisfying. Definitely what I wanted to accomplish before I call it a night and start back in the morning. Alrighty, we are getting, oh man, I was stuck. Getting back to work on this thing, we had to take a little break. So we had to do a bunch of prep work to the LS Miata, you know, alignment, mounting tires, all of that stuff. But it was really cool, the drift event. I put an electric steering column in it. I had never tested it out. We did like a little bit of small testing, but I wasn't really sure how it was gonna work. And it's kind of my last ditch effort. I ran through a bunch of normal hydraulic pumps. Electric hydraulic pump didn't work for me. This was kind of the last attempt, and I was real anxious to find out if it was gonna work, and it worked really well. We got a bunch of really good tandem runs in. We did have some wiring gremlins, which I've never really had with this car, so we'll have to sort those out. But essentially, playtime is over. It's time to get back to work on the truck because we need the truck to tow the big trailer, so that makes our life easier when we go to events with this thing, and so we can finally turbo the regular cab short bed truck that I've been towing my open trailer with. So again, we had our play. It's time to get back to work. Basically, we just need to keep plugging away, taking everything apart that we can get out of our ways to make our lives pulling this monstrosity out a little easier. I know this one's going to be probably more of a challenge than the Cummins was, so I want to try to get as much of this stuff off as I can. All right, I finally bought an air hammer. This is a tool I've been holding out on buying for a long time, but it'd be very handy. It was like 45 bucks on Amazon, and it came with 3 chisels. I bought a pack of chisels because I didn't know it came with them, but anyway, I'll link it below for anyone interested. 45 bucks for a nice IR one. So this is a way to get the fan clutch off. You hit it with the air chisel, and it basically spins it. It's kind of like using an impact on it. We'll see how well it works. Got it. We got it. Success. Best 45 bucks I ever spent. This thing's a ripper. All right, well, it is already getting a little dark. That is the downfall of working on a project outside in the winter time. Granted, we don't really have a winter in Florida, but you know what I'm saying. The time of the year where it gets dark super early. Anyway, I got the fan clutch off. That is really exciting. That clears up so much room in here to get to everything. I mean, the motor mounts are right there. Pull this AC compressor off, unhook the lines. We'll be using a Dodge AC compressor, so we don't need that. And then just kind of start working my way back. Enough jibber jabbering. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got under the truck last night to start disconnecting everything under there, bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts. There's some fuel lines bolted to the block and quick connects down there, and it's starter, you know, all that stuff. I was starting to work on all that, kind of come up with a game plan, see what else we needed to do, and how we were going to pull it out and stuff. The biggest concern with getting the engine out was clearing the engine mounts. That was kind of the problem on the Dodge, was, you know, getting the engine high enough to kind of come off the mount and then go forward. So I was looking at that, and that didn't look too bad, but what I did realize was that the pan hangs down about 6-7 inches below the cross member. So you can see the cross member here, see how far down it goes, how far up the engine is, and the pan actually hangs down almost below that. So the engine essentially has to come up about 6-7 inches. So if you look back here, we do not have 6-7 inches to bring the engine up with the turbos on, the up pipes and things like that. So got a couple different options. I reached out to DCS, Diesel Conversion Specialist. They're the ones who make the swap kit that we're using, and one of the big reasons why I used them and chose them was because they have such good customer support. And what do you know? Messaged them last night, got an email back first thing this morning. So I know that they don't pull the cabs off, and they pull the engines without pulling the cabs off. So I was asking them what they do, and basically they either lift the cab up a few inches to get that last bit of clearance, or on trucks where they can't pull the cab for whatever reason, what they do is they pull the trans, then they can pull the up pipes, and they can pull the turbos, and then they have the room to bring the engine up. So option is really to kind of do either one of those or pull the cab off entirely. So it's kind of going back and forth. And my biggest concern with pulling the cab off, I have two concerns. So my biggest concern is not the actual work of pulling the cab, because we've got most of the work done to pull the cab. The thing I'm concerned about is getting the truck from where it's sitting right now into the shop. I mean, it was hard enough to get it over here with a wide open space. If we need to go from here into there, we're gonna have to do like a 17-point turn and then somehow push it into the shop. So I'm a little concerned about that. I think that's going to be the hardest part, just getting it in there in the right spot on the lift. And then the other thing I'm a little worried about is just having the lift tied up. You know, if we pull the cab off, I don't really have anywhere I can put the cab. Like, I can't set it down on something and roll it out of the way, so it's going to be stuck on the lift. And if we hit, you know, some downtime with this project, I don't want the lift to be tied up to where I can't work on my LS Miata or any of my other projects in the meantime while I'm waiting for parts for this. So that was another concern of mine, but I realized, you know, if we pull the engine out, pull the cab off, we've got room, we can test fit the Cummins and do whatever we need to do while we're waiting on parts for the Cummins. And then if we have some downtime, we can just drop the cab back down on it and roll it back out of the way. After mulling over the decision, I think the best plan is going to be to pull the cab off. It'll be cool too, because we'll be able to kind of see everything that's under there and get to everything a lot easier, and it'll be kind of interesting. So I think that's what we're going to do, but we have to wait for Justin to get here tomorrow so that he can help us do it, because there's no, I mean, maybe me and Ben could get it in there by ourselves, but like I said, it is going to be a struggle. So probably gonna have to wait till tomorrow for him to get here to do that. So for now, that is gonna be it for this video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think of this project so far in the comments below. But yeah, for now, that's gonna be it. I'll see you guys next time. We're pulling the cab off and pulling the engine out, and if we're lucky, even test fit in the Cummins. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.